Welcome to assessment in the Canvas LMS. In this tutorial we'll cover the following topics: adding a grading scheme, creating course outcomes, setting up assignment weighting, adding assignment groups, adding assignments, adding assignment rubrics, and using SpeedGrader. One of the first things you want to do in setting up Canvas is to set up a grading scheme, and that's found in the settings at the bottom of the left-hand menu here. And looking down the list, we see Enable Course Grading Scheme. When you check this box, it brings up a link which brings you to a standard grading scheme here. You'll need to click on the little pencil icon, and in this case give it a name. I've chosen photography, and then you can go ahead and edit the list. So in this case we don't have an A+, we go straight to a B, C+, C, C-, and then incomplete. Make sure you get rid of all other unused lines by clicking the X on the side. Canvas will not allow you to have any blank spaces underneath. So when you're happy with your grading system, and mine should be, this should say 60 and should say 50. There we go. When you're happy with that, click on Save, and your grading scheme is saved. Click on Done, and that's the grading scheme. In this video I'm going to talk about course outcomes, and to get there we'll click on Outcomes on the left side, and we come to the Setting Up Outcomes page. Now outcomes become the building blocks for your rubrics. You can create custom rubrics, or you can incorporate your course outcomes into those rubrics. So I'll show you how to do both. As you can see, I have a few outcomes here. You can group them into groups to go along with your assignment groups if you like. But in this case I'm just going to create a new outcome. And I'm going to go to my document here and just copy and paste over. You can choose a friendly name if your outcome name is too long, and then you can have a description of it. So there's my description. Pop that in there. Of course you have the text editor here that you can use to edit up your text. Canvas defaults to 530 point scale, and I want to change that. So I'm going to click on the insert here in the middle, and I'm going to type in my additional pieces, and I'm going to make this a 4 and click OK. And minimally meets is a 3. And then I want to insert a 2. There's a 2 and click OK. If I want to edit any of these, I just click on the pencil and they're edited. And mastery at 4. So I've got exceeds at 5, meets at 4, minimally meets 3, needs improvement 2, does not meet 0 for 5 points, mastery at 4. And then I have to decide on the calculation method, and I'm going to choose the highest score and click Save. And I can go back and edit my outcome if I like. I can move it, or I could delete it. So that is the basis of creating outcomes. Now to manage rubrics, I'm going to add a rubric here, and I'm going to call this rule of thirds. And here I go. I can find an outcome. There's my outcome list. Here's my rule of thirds, and I can click to import it and say OK. And then I need to just X out the standard or the default line there, and there is my rubric. Now this should bring up the longer description it did the last time I built it. But I could also add criterion as well, and I could put, I'm just going to make it picture quality, and click OK, and I can add a longer description. There we go. And again, this time though, instead of getting the little thing in the middle, I click on the line here to add more categories. So full marks is 5, and I'm going to go meets expectations. If I can type here, at 4. Okay, and then I can click on the pencil. So I've got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 0 for my total of 10 points now for this rubric, and click Create Rubric. So as many times as you want to add more lines of criteria, you just click on the Add Criterion. If you wanted to add more outcomes from your outcome list, you could just click there and import those. And of course you can delete anything at any time. You can delete these, add to them, or edit the cells anytime as well. Lots of flexibility. And in this case, I'm going to create rubric. And if I click back on my breadcrumbs, I can go backwards. And that's it for creating outcomes and rubrics in Canvas. So we're going to talk about assignment weighting in groups. And before I start, I want to show you something on the left side menu here. And usually in programs, when you see grayed out items like these two, it usually means that you're not allowed in there. But in Canvas, what it means is there's no assignments in here. But you can still click on that menu item and get into the assignment category. Now, if you don't want to do weighting for your assignments, you can simply go ahead and click on the plus assignment, and you can start making assignments. So I can go here to rule of thirds. I'm just going to show you how when you go ahead and make an assignment, here's a brief review of it. If I click in my breadcrumb trail here, I can go back to the assignments page and see that there's a rule of thirds assignment. And if I click on this next one and just quickly make an assignment with a name briefly, click back in my breadcrumbs, I can just see that here's my assignments under an assignments category, and they'll just be given the same weighting or the same point value for all of them, equally treated. However, if you want to make weighting, and I'm just going to delete these out of here quickly. If you want to use weighting, then it's also a good idea to use groups as well. So to set up weighting, you click on the gear on the right here and click Weight Final Grade based on assignment groups. Don't worry about the percentage here right now, just leave it at that and click on Save. And now you'll see that my percent total right here is 0, but I can edit that. So if I click on the gear and go Edit, I can call this, and I've got a document set up with my titles. So I'm going to just Control C and paste, and this is 40% of my total grade, and click Save. Now I've got a group. I've got 40% of my total grade in that group. I can click on for another group here, and my second group is digital. And it's also 40% of my total grade. And then I can put a third group here. And there I have it. I have my 3 groups: black and white, digital, website design, 2, 40, and 40, and 20% of the total. Now I want to build an assignment. So I'm going to come into plus assignment, and my first assignment I'm going to do is right here. So copy my title over and my description. And I want to add a file for students to upload, so I'm going to step my cursor down a little bit and click on my files here, and I'll go into course files, and there's my lesson 1 rule of thirds file, and now it's uploaded. And I'm going to just make this assignment out of 5, and I can now select the group that I set up, so it's in black and white photography as points. Now I can look at submission type. So this class will be submitting their website URL, but notice I could also have them upload a file, and I can even restrict the file types. So in this case, if I wanted them to do a website page and I wanted them to do a little write-up, but I could restrict it to 2 types of files here. The .doc is the older version of Microsoft Word, and docx is the newer version of Microsoft Word. So I could restrict it to that. I could also add JPEG in there though if they wanted to send me a picture. And that way I'm not going to get any files uploaded that I don't want. This is not a group assignment, and I don't require peer reviews, and I'm not going to moderate here, but I wanted to assign it to my photography class, and I want to assign a due date, and I'm going to assign it due on the 25th. Now for the end of the day on the 25th, it's important to put in 11:59 p.m., which is the last second of the day. So anytime you want it to end on a certain day, use 11:59. 12 o'clock is in between the two, and someone could argue that it belongs to the next day possibly. So it's definitely 11:59 p.m. on the 25th. And then I could make it available between a range of days as well. So I could say it could start today, and for a start time I'm going to put 12:01 a.m. So that's the very first minute of the day. And again, I'm going to make it for a week after the due date, and I'm going to do 11:59 again. And I'm just using my tab key. Whoops. I'm trying to use my tab key here to set that. Now if I wanted to set it for another class individually, I could click on the plus add and do the same thing for another class, but I don't have that, so I'm going to X that back out. Now notice there at the bottom as well, there's a notify users that this content has changed. So if you go back and then edit up an assignment, you can click on this checkbox and the Canvas will send a message out to students alerting them to the fact that you've changed something in an assignment. And then I'm going to click Save. And here's a summary of my assignment. I don't have a rubric here. I'll talk about that at a future date. I can publish this assignment as well, which means that it becomes live online for students. I'm not going to do that right now because I'll come back and add a rubric in another video. In my breadcrumbs, I can go back to assignments, and here I am, digital photography. I've got my rule of thirds, and I could go ahead and start adding in more assignments now. So, and I could do and go ahead and remember to assign it black and white. It's defaulted there and so on. So I can go ahead and do all of my changes to that and click Save, and then go back in my breadcrumbs, and there I have assignments under each grouping. So that's how to set weighting and the basics of adding assignments. Adding rubrics to assignments is very simple. As you know, we've built our outcomes, and we've built at least one rubric in the outcomes screen. Now we can go to the assignment screen and add a rubric to an assignment, in this case my rule of thirds assignment. So I click on the add rubric at the bottom, and there's a couple of ways to do this. I could custom build a rubric here by clicking to find an outcome, in this case my rule of thirds outcome. I could import that in, delete the standard one, and because rule of thirds only has one row of criteria here, I could add criteria. So picture quality, and so on. So I can just continue adding criterion, or I could find a rubric that I've already made. In this case, we made a rubric over on the outcome page, and just import that, and there it is. So two ways: you can search for a rubric or outcomes, or you could just custom build one. And by clicking on the pencil here, if I decide I want to do another row of criteria, I can add to that, format it up, and then update my rubric. And there is my assignment rubric, all finished in my assignment. SpeedGrader is an efficient way of grading assignments and entering them into the gradebook. SpeedGrader can be accessed for any assignments that are submitted online. From the home page, on the right hand side, you'll see a list of things that require attention. And here I have grade automatic mode reflection, so that's an assignment submitted by a student. And in this case, it's a text document. And how this is structured is that on the left, SpeedGrader will open up the assignment. In this case, a text document. It'll give me some commenting features, so I can actually add comments. I can draw on the page. I can highlight text. I can add text. And I can strike out text and even change the color of things. On the right side here, I can download the assignment. I can give it a grade. I can view the rubric to look at the criteria. So the description comes up there. So I can give it a grade of 4 out of 5. Here is the comment that the student, and I can leave a comment. Well done. Submit the comment. I can add an attachment to the file if I like, or I can even add a media comment. So that is how you basically use SpeedGrader. And once you've entered in here and submitted, the comment, as you can see, has been submitted. That's it. The grade and everything is automatically put into your gradebook. To go to the next assignment, you can just click on the next arrow up top here, or go backwards through the different assignments. So it's a very efficient way of moving through your assignments, reading, commenting, adding stuff, and it's done. So as you can see in my gradebook now, there's a 1 sitting here, meaning that the assignment that I just graded is now put into my gradebook. There's the file upload. Submitted by my student. The mark I gave them, the percentage, here's the assignments. As you can see, my assignments are all here with my mark. So that's it, put all the way into there. Now, another way to access SpeedGrader is by going to the assignments page, and I'm going to click on this assignment because I know I have a submission. And on the top right here, you'll see SpeedGrader, and if I click on that, it's just uploading my student's assignment. In this case, I want to look at their PowerPoint, and what I did at the top here was I get the submission times, and so I can go back in time and see that my student here has submitted their PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to take a look through it. I could download it if I wanted to save it on my computer. I'm going to look at the rubric for it, and I'm going to give my student a 2 and make a comment that there are components. So I'm making a comment that my student needs to fix the pieces that are missing on this assignment. They have not done observations underneath each one, and there's pictures missing, and so on. So I'm going to make that comment and submit it, and there is my comment back to the student. As you can see, there's a lot to setting up outcomes and rubrics and assignments and using SpeedGrader in Canvas. But as long as you keep practicing and learning to flow through the menus and the breadcrumbs and the different components that I've showed you, it'll come easy with practice. You'll soon be clicking away adding things and changing things and tailoring the Canvas LMS to your own needs and what's efficient for you. So I hope this video training has been helpful to you, and if I can be of any further assistance, don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.